Okay, guys, we are ready to start. So, first of all, thank you everyone for joining our webinar. Today we will talk about workflow implementation in OroCRM, and we will start our webinar with introduction from Yoav Kutner, our CTO, and then our lead developer Evgen Shishkin will do deep overview of implementation of workflows, and at the end we will have time for Q&A session. Okay, let's start.
So hi everyone. Like Dima said, my name is Yoav Kutner, co-founder and CTO here at Oro Inc. And we're working on the OroCRM and the Oro platform projects. Actually, myself and a few of our team are actually exhibiting here at ZenCon this week. So we're up in San Jose showing off what we've built for over the last few years. And today we're actually going to show you how we develop, how we think about when it comes to features and how we build flexibility into what we do. With this feature, which are workflows, the idea is that every business has some kind of workflow that or many workflows that they work with. And just wanted to show how we think about building these kind of features, what kind of flexibility we build in there, and how we actually help developers and actual users to get up and running fast and be successful using this application. So I hope you enjoy it, and I don't want to take too much of the time here. So with that, I'll kick it back to the presenters. Thank you.
Hello guys, my name is Evgen Shishkin. I am a core developer of OroCRM and Oro platform, and today I'd like to talk about workflows in Oro platform and OroCRM systems. Well, in this webinar, I would share with you some information about workflows, how they are working, and we'll show a small implementation of test workflow for one of entities in OroCRM. So that's it. Let's start from the very basics. Basic definition of workflow is the sequence of industrial, administrative, or some other processes through which a piece of work passes from initiation to completion. So if you have some process and you want to do it in Oro platform, you might create a workflow for it. So workflow will do actions you want, will let you enter some information and process it in the way you wish to work with it. Basically, the main components of workflow is steps and transitions. This small schema demonstrates what are they. So big white blocks is steps. Steps is some kind of state of workflow, or maybe just some intermediate point you want to stop and fix your results. And transition, here are black arrows. Transition is actions that leads from one step to another lead. In most basic in this most basic schema, you see we have 4 steps: start, join webinar, then webinar, and finish webinar. And you may do anything in this webinar. You can join it, you can watch it, you can ask questions. If you don't like it, you can leave it, and then when you finish, you can finish it. And that's basically all. We have finished the webinar. Responsibility of workflows. Workflows have several responsibilities. Most of them are related to its components and to actions performed in this workflow. The very first responsibility is defining of procedural steps for an entity. So we have to know which steps entity might be used, and these steps will be used when we are going to perform some actions. Next important responsibility is transition. As a actual transition, it's simply a move from one step to another step. And this transition allows to do some interesting actions, involve additional conditions that can be used during workflow. And the third main responsibility is changing of entity properties in transition. Basically, workflow attached to some specific entity, and when you're working with it, you might change its properties in the way you want to do that. Example of steps, it might be statuses. It might be, for example, ticket might be opened, might be processed, might be closed. Transitions between these statuses might be called open, close, progress, reopen, etc. And property that will be used is simply might be some additional information related to the ticket. Workflow consists of several components. These three were already partially discussed. Step is basically workflow state of an entity. Step related directly to entity is stored as a property of the specific entity, and steps basically consists of its label and some additional information I will show you a bit later on a specific example. Transition, as we already discussed, it's moves allows to move from one step to another step, and transition allows to set or change some attributes. Attributes, it's just a field of an entity in basic case, but also it might be some additional information you want to enter on form and save in scope of your workflow. This schema demonstrates how these components are interacted each with other. So we have transition X that leads us from step A to step B. And on this transition, we may enter three attributes: attributes 1, attribute 2, and attribute 3. But that's not all components. Now we have two additional components. It's conditions and actions. Conditions, it's just a set of rules that might allows transition. So if condition not met, this transition will not be available. Conditions might be used in different cases. The very basic case, it's restriction of access to transition, but they also might be used as a part of an additional actions or in any component, or if you want to add some additional components, you also can use it there. Actions, it's just additional operations that might be executed during transition, and as a part of it, action might include other actions and conditions to check whether this action must be or should be executed. This altered schema, here we have added check conditions step, we have added set attributes and execute actions. So when you're passing your workflow from one step, from step A to step B using transition X, in fact, first you have to check condition, then you might set some attributes on UI, and only then some additional actions will be executed after the transition, and only then you will be in step B. In Oro platform, all components configuration stored in YAML files in resources/config/workflow YAML files in a very specific bundle. You, as a developer, you may define this file in any bundle you want, and this file will be automatically used by system. YAML file contains full definition of all workflow components, steps, transitions, attributes, conditions, actions, and when you are ready to work with your workflow, you have to load this YAML configuration to the database using Oro workflow definitions load command. This command simply collects all data from YAML files, workflow.yaml files I mean, and store these workflows to the database. So system will know about workflows, and as a user you may use it on a UI and interact with them. Now I'd like to show you some small example how workflow working from the inside, because it's just a first part of our demo, and now I would like to show you how they are working on the back end. We are going to implement simple flow with 3 steps. open in progress and closed, with 3 transitions: start progress, close, and open. This workflow will be attached to lead entity. Lead, it might be, in fact, it might be absolutely any entity you want that supports workflow. Lead is just selected as one of such entities, so no additional logic of our CRM will be involved. I have a demo workflow bundle. If you want, you can check it after presentation. So, and you can you can go step by step and do all things you have to do to implement workflow. Now, let's go to code. I have this bundle included to OroCRM. Here it is. Let me show you that. Yep, I have Acme Demo Workflow Bundle added to OroCRM as a regular bundle. And now this bundle have only bundle CML file that basically includes bundle, and that's all. So bundle now empty. Now we want to create very simple flow with 3 steps I just described. I have already created several Git tags, so I can easily switch to them. Step 1. Here we have very simple workflow YAML files that describes our workflow configuration. First, we're describing workflow label, entity that workflow attached to. In our case, it's OroCRM sales bundle lead entity. We're also creating start step. Start step, it's a step that will be used, that will be automatically attached to entity after entity is created. For example, but if for some reason your entity already exists and not in workflow, you can manually start workflow from UI page, and you will be in this step. Step display ordered flag allows us to show all steps on UI page, UI page view of an entity, and it will allow us to show all steps in the order, in the specific order. Next node describes 3 steps: open, progress, and close it, and each steps consists of label. It's regular string order. It's a number that allows to show steps in a specific order, and list of allowed transitions that lead from this step. The same for second step in progress and third step closed. Transitions, we have 3 of them: start, progress, close, and reopen. It also includes label. It includes step to attribute that defines to which step this transition leads to. And transition definition, for now it's they are empty, but they will be used a bit later when we are going to add some additional customizations to workflow. And the same for close and reopen step. Just a few words about how transition defined. As you mentioned, that starting point of workflow defined on a steps level. So steps basically knows only about transitions, and transition doesn't know about where from which steps it leads. It knows only step 2. Step it's going to lead to, and going to finish, then going to set to entity when transition will be finished. So this adds additional flexibility, and you can, if you want, you can customize these features on backend, and you can change this behavior and add additional transitions that might be reused, for example, from different steps. So, for example, you might have some transition that leads from different steps to, let's say, one step, and it still be the same transition. Now, let's load this configuration to the database. To do that, we have to run command or workflow definition slot. Now, OroCRM looking for all workflow.yml files, collecting information from it, merging it, compares with database and sets it to the database. As you see, we have our Akma demo workflow lead processing workflow here. Now let's go to UI and check that it's real there. We have small grid here, and yep, here we have lead processing flow. Let's look on the UI and check whether everything is right with our transitions in step. We have 3 steps: open, in progress, close it, and we have 3 transitions: start progress that leads from open to in progress step, close transition that leads from in progress to closed, and open transition that leads from closed to open. These steps have orders 10, 20, and 30, and that's basically it. We have this workflow. Now let's check whether it works on UI. Let's go to lead view page. First, let's go to some lead that are already existing, and we here, as I said a bit before, we don't have workflow information yet, but we have button start lead processing flow. This button actually starts flow on this specific entity. When we are clicking on it, the first thing you can see, it's a widget with a list of all steps. You have open, progress, closed on the top of the page. Green strap is active step. Gray steps are not active steps, and black steps, you will see a bit later, they are past steps. And here we have start progress. It's actually a button that represents our transition that will lead us to in progress step. Let's click it. And well, now we are in progress step. As you see, open step is now black. That means that this step is already passed, and we still have close step that's not passed. Let's go to it. Yep, we are here. And now we can reopen and start workflow from its beginning. So now we can see that workflow loading works, and very simple transitions that lead us from one step to another also works. Let's add some attributes to this workflow. And here now let's go to the configuration and check it. As you can see new section attributes here. Attributes are basically only properties of an entity. You can see it for them: first name, last name, contact, and B2B customer. And each entity defines where it should be stored using property path: lead.firstname, lead last name, lead contact, and lead customer. And now, if we want to add these attributes on some transition, we have to define it on each transition. In start transition, I have defined form options and attribute fields that allows us to add attributes to this transition. We have first name and last name. Each of these fields also have additional form options. Required true, it means that it will be marked with red asterisk, and additional constraint that will check that this value of this field must not be blank. The same thing for close transition, except we don't have any additional form options here, and we have only attribute fields and nothing more. And that's all you have to do if you want to add attributes. Let's move to the backend. Let's load this configuration we just altered. Yep, now we can see it. And now, for example, let's create new lead just to demonstrate that how works start step. Lead name, let's call it new test lead. We have first name John, last name Doe, and that's all. Yep. Saved. Yep. you can see here that workflow is already started, and we haven't pressed any additional buttons to do that. Now let's do our transitions with attributes. I have clicked Start Progress button, and now you can see a small dialog with two additional fields, first name and last name. We just specified. For example, we can check that constraint works value should not be blank, and we can modify this value. Let's call John 1, 2, do 3, 4. Click Submit, and this data must be updated. Yep, you can see it on leader information. You have here two fields, first name and last name, and they are exactly as we just entered on a dialog page. Now let's do close transition. Let me remind you that it has two additional attributes to choose. Yep, and here we have it. We have contact and we have B2B customer. We can choose any contact we want. For example, we can this one, and we can choose B2B customer just to check whether it works. And for example, I want to leave customer empty. I want to select only B2B contact empty. I want to select only B2B customer. Let's submit it. And we have on the same lead information block, we can see that we have B2B customer cans, and we don't have contacts because we haven't entered it. Enter open transition doesn't have any attributes and simply will lead us to an open step. That's how attribute works. Now let's customize our workflow even more and add some conditions. Step 3. Start loading now. Yep. Maybe you mentioned that we have transition definition section, and now you can see how it used. Transition definition section describes conditions and actions used for every specific transition. I have just added several conditions to close definition and to open definitions. We have two types of transitions, preconditions and conditions. Preconditions are used when you want to check whether transition button should be rendered on a view page. So if it's not rendered, so if the preconditions are not met, this button will not be rendered. Also, to add additional flexibility, we have flag is unavailable hidden. By default, it's true, but I have set it to false, and in this case the button will be visible, but it will be disabled, and when user will move mouse to this button, he will see a message that will warn him and explain why this transition is this condition is not worse. For precondition, I have added check that address of a lead must not be empty. For example, we will need address information for some further processing, and message that only leads with address can be closed. Next, we have condition. Conditions are used after you perform a transition. So when you clicking on transition button and set some attributes if they were on transition, then conditions are checked, and if they are not met, you will see error message and transition will not be performed. Here we have actual tree of conditions. Main condition is OR, and we're checking that at least one of entities, one of attributes contact or B2B customer must be specified. So it's not empty contact or not empty B2B customer. And we have a message that either contact or B2B customer must be specified in this transition. And also we have precondition for open definition, so that to perform open we have to specify contact to a lead, also for some additional processing a bit later. That's it. I have already loaded to the database, and now let's check how the condition works. First, let's check how work preconditions and condition on clause definition transition. Let's do start progress. There are no additional processing here. And first we can see that close button is now disabled. You can see it's gray. And when we are moving cursor of mouse to this button, we can see information that tooltip that only leads with address can be closed. So now to close this lead, we have to add address to lead first. Let's do it. Let's go to edit page, add some information. Some test street, some test city, and some kind of random zip postal code, just to check that address is valid. And here in our book now we have valid address. Maybe it's not real valid, but it's valid from our system state. And now we can see that we can perform a close transition. Let's do it. And here we have contact and B2B customer, the same state, we leave it from the previous iteration. Now let's try to submit it. And we can do it because at least one of these attributes was specified. To reopen, lead must have a contact. Let's edit a contact to lead. Yep, and we are on close the step again. And now let's go to reopen definition. Reopen definition checks that contact must not be empty. Now we can do reopen. And let me show you how works condition from close transition. For example, if we will leave both of these properties empty and click submit, we will see our message on configuration that either contact or B2B customer must be specified. Let's specify contact, Louis Miller, submit it, and do reopen. Yep, now we are on an open step again, and we have our contact Mrs. Louis Miller on a contact on the contact field on lead information block. Let's customize it even more. Let's add some actions. And let's look at these actions. Out of the box, workflow provides lots of useful actions. It's simple. It's simple assigns. It's creating of an object of an entity that's working with data, working with a database entity, working with strings, etc., etc., etc. You can check all these actions on DI configuration and workflow bundle. Here I have added post actions to transition definition of reopen transition. Actually, why it's called post action, because they are performed after the transitions. That's why its prefix post is used. First action we have here, it's an create entity action. We have specified class of entity we are going to create. It's a task from task bundle. We are specifying attribute. It should be used to store and information that should be stored inside a task. It's a related contact we have specified. It's an owner. We are going to use the same owner as lead reporter. The same field and organization also will be set from lead organization. And let me show you an interesting thing about this attribute tasks. Here it is. And attributes not always might be third path of a main entity. Sometimes it might be some information that you just want to store, but you don't have a relation to it, and you just want to enter it, process it, but you don't want it to have in your main entity. That's exactly what we have with our task attribute. In this case, if you don't have property paths, you have to specify a label of an attribute that will be used on UI, if you of course will have task and UI type, how it will be stored, and additional options. For entity, you have to specify a class, so workflow will know how to store this entity and how to extract it. Next action that will be performed after creating entity is formatting string. We have created task, and now we want to have a pretty subject in this task. So we are formatting him. We have contact with our first name, last name, to discuss ROPN of some specific lead name. And these placeholders will be replaced with information from contact. Here we have arguments, and we see these placeholders. First name will be replaced with contact.first name, last name the same as last name, and lead name will be replaced with the name property of a lead. Then we have to specify, we want to specify some additional information to task, and it's task due date. By default, create datetime creates datetime with no arguments. It means that it will be current time, and due date will be now. And after that, we also want to set high priority to this task, so it will be processed as soon as possible. Because task priority is additional entity, we have to find it first. So we are using action find entity that will perform a request to the database, and will try to find entity called task priority with identifier high. And if it finds and when it finds it, it will be saved to task.priority path. So our task will be created with our default attributes, formatted string, added due date as current time, and task priority high. Let's do this. Let's load definition to the database first. Here we are, and let's go to UI. Let me remind you that these actions will be performed during open transition. So now let's do to closed step. Also, let me remind you that we have condition that contact must not be empty for open definition. That's why it will be used, because we have to know some contact information that to process the task that will be created during open transition. And now let's do open. Oops, something happened. Oh, I know what happened. Let's load it. Just a sec. Looks like I have outdated cache for these transitions, and I need to update it. I'm using default Symfony command app console cache clear to perform that. I'm working in dev environment. Now let's do it again. Let's actually take another lead for this purpose, so we can check that information is really new. We have another shoe. We can start the processing, or we can start progress, enter some information about this lead. We can close it with the contact. Now we can, for some reason we can do open. We don't have related contact property. Now let's check how it called now.
Sorry guys, looks as we have technical issue. Give us few minutes to resolve it, as looks as we lost connection with Eugen. I apologize for that. Till we're waiting for Eugen to restore his connection, we already have a couple of questions in our question and answers chat, so I just would like to go over a few of them and provide some answers. So first question that we had was why YAML format is used instead database schema for workflow storage, and the answer for that is that we're looking later to normalize workflow structure in a database, but as for now it's much more flexible and easier to present workflow in a YAML format and provide basically all power and of Symfony tools for working with YAML configuration for workflow extending purposes. So in such a way, different bundles may customize existing workflows and also as well in very easy way to add own flows. Then second question was about a possibility to manage workflow configuration via user interface. And this function is currently available. So basically, user can easily go to user interface page under system menu and create new workflows and customize existing ones with adding steps and transitions. The only thing that is not available there is conditions and actions management, and we are going to add these features later on. And I believe that Eugen is back. Jenna, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here. Just a sec.
Okay, so let's continue our presentation.
Yep, now let's figure, I believe I figure out why I have this issue. I just need to a bit alter my my workflow configuration. I will remove that contact entity from here, and I will simply just alter my information and contact this name, contact this lead to discuss routing. Let's load configuration, check will it work. it's loaded now, and let's check will it work. No, we don't have reporter either. So basically what I'm doing now, I'm just modifying the parameters of an actions I have created before. I have removed contact, I have removed reporter because these fields are no longer available in task, and I have altered format string action to pass only lead name here. Yes. Yep, we just performed to open transition, and let me remind you that we had to create a task that will have formatted subject, and will have priority high. Let's go to tasks and check whether this entity exists. Yep, we have our contact handover issue to discuss reopen. Let's go with it. It has priority high, it has due date, it's current date, October 28, and that's actually it. That's how workflow action works. Now to just add some additional features to it, through this workflow I show you a bit several tricks that can be used in this workflow. Yep, I just have to revert my changes. Now we are here. And I applied my fixes, and what additional fixes you can see here. First, I have added comments, so this workflow's configuration now is much more readable, and you can you don't have to read all parameters and conditions, actions configuration. You just can look on the configuration, check out addresses required for business purposes, and that's all. Also, I have added the same comments for all basic and most important options of a workflow. I have added a start step. I have added, for example, for task attribute. I told that it's a temporary attribute that used to store our open task. And also, I have added small UI modifications. First, I have added for transition, I have added icon that can be used on transition button, and I have added class called button primary, so you will see it in color because we have support of these basic subclasses. The same thing for close transition, icon OK and button success. And for open transition, I haven't specified a class and set only icon, so it will have the regular gray color. Let's load this altered configuration. Yep, and let's go to the lead page, start flow, and now you can see that start progress button has icon and has blue color. Blue color is came from a specified class. And we go to other step, and here you see that close now green and have specified icon. We have to enter some information here. And you can see the open button is gray, it's regular color of transition buttons, and this transition button has special transition icon. It has specified in configuration. So that's all about demo. Back to the presentation, and I would just want to tell you about some tips and tricks that might be used in workflows, and this feature that are most requested by our community. Even some of them were even implemented by the request of community. First, you can override actions and conditions that can be used in workflow using dependency injection tags. So each condition action marked with tag, and each of these services can be overridden, or you can create new one. I will show it on code right now. So I have bundle workflow bundle resources config. Here, all these actions, for example, we have used create entity action. And here is definition of this action. You can see this definition marked with tag or workflow action with alias create entity. That's exactly how they are involved into workflow configuration when we are processing our transition. The same for conditions. You have list of conditions. You have, for example, blank empty, non-blank not empty, or, and lots of other important conditions. Next useful thing is ACL. You can set ACL parameters on transition level. You can set the specify ACL resource that can be checked before transition is executed, and in fact this check will be transformed in a special condition called ACL granted that you can also override using DI. You can find it in list of all conditions, and add additional check if you're required to do that. And another important thing is transition templates. If for some purposes you want to customize transition template, for example, you want to add some information on the top or add some footer with commercial, you can do that. You can add whatever you want, and you can even set custom template for each transitions. We are continuously working on our workflow functionality. We have lots of improvement coming soon in future. The first, it's UI improvements. We are going to add additional features to our UI and make it more customizable. And another thing we are going to do is we are going to allow some action, make some action available only on specific workflow step. So the same as we defined allowed transitions, we can also define allowed actions, and these actions will be allowed only if they're in this list. For example, it might be very useful if you have similar transition and action, and you want to hide action if you already have this transition. For example, we have transition send email or local, and this transition basically duplicates actions, and we can hide such actions. Basically, that's it. Now let's go to this session.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Shania.
Yeah.
This was great presentation and overview of workflow functionality. So now we continue with question and answer section, and we have a couple of new questions, and next one is about if we can use string code for message attribute in workflow definition. So the answer for that, yes, and if there are any issues, so please let us know, but this should be absolutely possible. Next question that we have is about the couple of related questions, and the question is about how to use custom PHP code and as an example is during how to create during transition a task for a user that will have due date with 5 days after current date. So this is absolutely possible via actions that Jenna demonstrated to us. So basically each transition has an action property where you can specify a reference to a PHP method where you can implement all the custom logic related to your transition. Next question we have about order field in workflow step definitions, and order field in workflow definition is used for step sort order, and basically you may also notice that there are two types of workflows that we support. So one is with ordered steps. So basically for such workflows we open to user all steps on entity level, and the user can always see where he is in terms of workflow. That's for ordered workflows. And for not ordered, so basically there could be a case when you have a lot of branches in your flow and you cannot show them one by one with a certain order. So in this case we are showing only current progress on workflow and not showing future possible steps. Then there were a couple of questions about cohort analysis. So this feature is not available yet, and we do not have plans to enable it, but we are very open for your request. And if you have a need and have particular use case for it, please feel free to open a request on GitHub, and we will analyze it and we'll schedule it to our roadmap if it will be generic feature. It looks as all questions that we had for today, and I just would like to thank everyone for joining and watching this webinar. Just a reminder, if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to open discussion on our forum. And if you see any issues with workflows, and not only with workflows, please feel free to open a ticket on a GitHub. And if you would like to contribute your fixes or your improvements, we are very welcome for that. And please also submit a pull request on GitHub. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you soon with next technical webinar.